Today's video is all about the Every Bit Counts Challenge, and that is being sponsored by Jessica over at Three Rivers Homestead. I hope you will go visit her channel. I'll leave a link below. If you're new to putting up food, how to feed healthy food to your family, I highly recommend you go over there and subscribe to her channel. She is awesome. And even at my age, at 62, I've learned a lot from watching her videos. So I'm thankful for this challenge because it made me get up and realize I could go ahead and start putting up things that I have sitting out on my counter. I have butternut squash, Hubbard squash, spaghetti squash, just lining up on my counter, and I wanted to get it put up. So she motivated me to do that. So I'm going to show you in this video how to do that. I also put up some jalapeno okra pickles. She had that in one of her videos, so I put some of that up. I've got bell pepper that I put in the freezer. So I'm just going to run through this week what I've done and what I've got put up. And then if you want to go visit the other channels that are in this Every Bit Counts challenge, you just click on the link that I'm going to leave below and it will take you to all the videos. So I hope you enjoy this challenge. Now, you can see behind me I've got my collard seeds coming up. So I'm going to be planting collards in the fall. This is the last of the tomatoes. I really got a nice crop of tomatoes, and I am really into seed saving this year. So all of those squash seeds, I saved a bunch of them. I'm drying them out. I'm going to reuse them next year. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for another video next week on preserving figs that I picked from my tree. So stay around for that. This challenge is great. I always love this challenge when it comes around. So thank you so much for watching, and let's get busy.
So these are all the squash that have been sitting out on my counter for a couple of weeks now. I grew these in the garden. That's that big green Hubbard squash that I grew, and I'm finally going to open this baby up. I have a lot of jalapeno peppers, okra, lots of bell peppers, and I will keep getting these bell peppers right onto the first frost. I've got an abundance of eggs that I need to lime. So I'm going to get this counter cleaned up today, and we're going to start this process. So this is the green Hubbard squash, and it was really hard to cut open. You need a good sharp knife. But look how beautiful that squash meat is inside. And it smelled so good. Now this is the first year I have grown this. I had a great success. I have 3 others that I need to work on. But I'm just using a large canning lid to scrape out that pulp. It works great. Just 1, 2, 3 swoops and it's all out. And I'm going to save those seeds. Most of them anyway, not all of them. And I'm just scraping out that pulp like that. See how beautiful that flesh is inside of this squash. This was a first time experiment growing these, and I know now what to do. So next year I'm going to have an even better harvest. Now this meat is supposed to taste between a sweet potato and a pumpkin, and it is in the squash family along with pumpkins, so I can use this meat along with the butternut squash for all kinds of baked dishes that you would use pumpkin. I can use this. So that's why I really wanted to get this harvested and put in the freezer so I can make pumpkin breads, pumpkin muffins, all kinds of good ideas to use with this pumpkin. Now I have a Pinterest board, everything pumpkin. I will leave that below, and you can go and check out all the ways that you can use these squashes and pumpkins in recipes. So here's the butternut squash, and I grew these in the backyard, and they are hard to cut too, so that's why you need a really sharp knife and to be very careful. But they too were beautiful inside. No rotten spots, just beautiful squash meat. And I'm going to scrape out those seeds. And we're going to bake these in a 350 degree oven for 50 to 60 minutes. So I washed them well first, cut them, scooped out the pulp. I'm going to add some water to this baking pan so that it's just about 1/4 of an inch deep in the whole pan, and we're going to bake these for 50 minutes. Now you can check by sticking a fork in them to see if they're nice and tender before the 50 minutes, but it actually did take me almost an hour to cook these. And then here are all the pans that I got in the oven today, so I was able to clear the counter of all those butternut squash. Now while the squash is baking, it's time to work on the bell pepper. So I've washed them all and I'm just cutting them open and then just going to take out the seeds and the membranes, and then we're just going to pack these into freezer quart bags. That's all you have to do, and then you can use these all during the winter in so many different recipes, stir fries. And so you just cut them into pieces, pack them in the quart bags, and I like to get the air out instead of pulling out my vacuum sealer. This is my quick way to do it. I just drop a straw in, Ziploc it right up to the straw, and I just, using my mouth, suck out all the air, pull it out, and then snap. That's just my fast way of doing it. I've done that for years instead of pulling out all that stuff that you use to vacuum seal with. This works perfect. Then I'm just going to pack these and put them in the freezer. Alright, the next item to preserve are these cayenne peppers that I grew in the backyard, and a favorite thing that we like every Thanksgiving and Christmas is collards. And if you're going to have collards, you got to have hot pepper vinegar. So I'm making a jar of this, and all you do is pack these into a nice clean mason jar or any kind of jar that you have, a decorative jar, and then just add in some apple cider vinegar, and that is it. So this jar I will keep in the refrigerator for holidays, eating turnip greens or collard greens. It is wonderful to have on hand. So that's another thing that got put up. And now all of the squash is baked. It's nice and tender. It's very hot. There's the spaghetti squashes, there's the butternuts. I'm just going to turn everything over and let it cool down completely before trying to scoop out all of that meat, but everything looks really good. It's nice and soft. Alright, once it's cool enough to work with, I'm just scraping out all of that delicious butternut squash meat. It's nice and cooked, and it easily comes off. Try to make sure you don't get any skin in the bowl, but these butternut squash make a nice bowl full of meat, and I'm going to use my gadget, my potato masher, and just mash this down. You could put this in a food processor, but again, I didn't want to have to worry about cleaning all that. So I'm just using this to really mash it together. And then I'm going to package it in measurements of 2 cups per quart Ziploc bags, because most recipes call for 1 to 2 cups of your pumpkin puree or butternut squash puree. So that's how I packaged it. I pressed it out so that when it froze, it would froze kind of thinly and flat. Now we're on to the Hubbard squash, and that smelled so good. This is the last piece, and I got a nice batch out of this one squash, and I'm just scraping off all that meat just like I did the other squash, and it really came together nicely. Look at that. It is beautiful, beautiful color, beautiful taste. And then I packaged it up as well. Now here is the spaghetti squash. Now it's a totally different texture. Looks just like spaghetti. So I'm just going to put all of this in one bag, and then one night for dinner I'm going to open up a jar of that homemade pressure can spaghetti sauce, and we'll eat it right on top of this spaghetti squash. The last project of the day is the jalapeno okra pickles. So for the brine, I'm mixing 5 cups of white distilled vinegar, 5% acidity, 1 cup of water, and 1 cup of sugar. And I bring that to a boil on the stove. Now I also have 2 pint jars in the canner getting sterilized. So once they're nice and hot, I take them out, and we're just going to pack in the chopped up jalapeno peppers, the chopped up okra that's all mixed together. I did add 1 clove of garlic per jar. This is a delicious way to use up those jalapeno peppers and some okra, and these are made especially for my dad who loves the hot stuff, and I can't wait for him to give these a try. Now, once the jars are packed, I'm going to ladle in that nice brine, pour it right over, leaving a 1-inch headspace. I'm going to debubble, put the lids on, and then place these in the canner and process them for 10 minutes. Of course, this is water bath canning. You don't have to worry about pressure canning, so I'm just dropping these in. Process them for 10 minutes and you're all done. So what a great way to use up those hot peppers and your okra. Okay, and here is the pickled okra and hot peppers. They turned out great. Those are from my dad. And then here is the hot pepper vinegar jar. So, more things checked off the Every Bit Counts challenge. Stay tuned for next week's video. I went out and picked a bunch of figs. I'm going to dehydrate those, and I've got more things planned, so stay tuned. And thank you for watching, and don't forget to visit Jessica at Three Rivers Homestead. I will leave all the links below. Hope you all have a very blessed day.